We are back in the black hole of real estate, and I got some interesting questions about solar for the home. So I thought today we would take some time to talk about what my experience has been with solar and why it may be a good idea for you to really consider along the way to your home buying process or upgrades to your current home. This is your host, Ron Wojciechowski, for the black hole of real estate. There's so much talk about solar and how it's affecting home values and the types of homes that are being built right now and energy efficiencies. And if you are buying a new home and it's a home that you're going to live in a long time and you want to have solar on there to lower or reduce or completely eliminate your electric bill, then it's absolutely something that you can take a look at. And within the efficiencies of the home right now, with better products to build the homes with and more insulation and better windows and doors, it's going to increase the energy efficiency of a home. And then if you add in the solar piece, I think they normally would right size this in most cases to where you're barely paying for any power. I know that you can certainly attempt to sell some power back to the company, whoever electric company is in the area. So that's also a thing. But for most people, if you're going to go to the expense, I would look at a couple of things. Number one, I would probably right size it personally to the house to make it where my energy bill might be a few bucks a month or something like that. I think that would make a lot of sense. I also think that I would be super careful to know that I was going to be in the home long term. Some of the solar systems are super expensive, and it's an investment that you make knowingly up front. But whether you make it a part of the home build and it's part of your one mortgage, or you pay with cash outside of closing, some people will take a separate loan out for the solar, and it could get a little bit tricky when you have a change in plans. And let's just suppose that you invested $50,000 in solar and you paid $400 for a home. It doesn't necessarily mean it's worth $450. The same as adding a pool or a kitchen or some other upgrade. Certain things, you have a tremendous return on investment. Other things are more taste and preference. If I bought a $60,000 chandelier, the value of the house wouldn't go up $60,000. Matter of fact, it might not go up at all. But if I got the chandelier that I really wanted in the house, I wouldn't care. I'm staying there long term, and it's my chandelier. I can always take it with me. Not so much with the solar. It's engineered specific for the house, and you're not going to take it with you when you leave. In most cases, and if that's what we're looking at, and you have this change, and we'll use my example that you got $450 into a home, and a couple of years down the road you have to sell it, and maybe the home is worth a little more than $450. But what if it's just the same $450? What if home values are just flat, similar to last year? By the time that you get it on the market and resell it, you're going to have some fees. So whether it's closing costs or commissions or both, you're going to have some fees involved. Now, if there's not enough money to cover that, everything, let's say you have a small down payment or no down payment, you may not have the money to sell the house and pay off the mortgage and the solar. It's a real possibility. If you got the same $450 that you paid for it in a year or two, you're likely to have to come out of pocket to cover all the bases when you walk away with the house. So I'm not saying not get the solar. I'm saying think about your time horizon. Now, if you're putting 20% down or paying off the solar in cash, not such a big deal. Then you've got some room to work with. But the real idea behind it is, if you're going to be in the home long term, super easy. Grab the solar if that's what makes you happy and that's what you want. And I do think over time it'll pay for itself. And I would really look at what a typical power bill would be versus, just standard electric and not the solar. And I would look at the cost of solar, and I just do a little bit of math. How long will it take to break even and then start returning some money? And I've seen some figures where it's 10, 12, 13 years to get even on it. Now, factor in that the home is probably worth more with solar than without solar. And I'm just going to stick with the 50,000 example. Maybe it increased the value 25 or 30, maybe more, but not necessarily 50. So we need to understand how much are we saving a month. If we're saving $250 a month and $3,000 a year, okay, in 10 years we got 30 grand back. And that might be one way to look at it. Now, if you're just really enamored with the whole movement towards solar and you don't mind making the investment, that makes it easy. If you are not sure about it but just want to save any electric, well, I've given you a small example. Now, I do believe that energy ratings can be given and you can approximate what the bills would look like and do some of your own math and your own research. I think that's going to be important for anybody that's really, looking forward to doing it. As far as solar, we see like all the panels on the roof for like the whole house, and there's more of that going on. I'd also tell you that there are solar hot water heaters. It's a big panel goes on the roof, and you can get a circulator and get on-demand hot water. That's kind of cool. We've actually had that at one of our homes. You can do attic fans, and that would, keep the air moving and maybe get some of the hot air out of there to also reduce stress. So if you weren't going full on solar, you could just do the hot water. You could do the solar attic fan. The one thing that we really like with our solar is for the pool. And that will increase your swim time dramatically. And let's just suppose that Memorial Day to Labor Day, that's a pretty good swim season for just about any area. But I can tell you from personal experience that it's at least once or twice a month. My kid's in a pool, January, February, March. He definitely was in December. And his friends can come over, and when the solar's up and running, the pool can be pretty warm, even if the air is a little bit cooler. So it's for us, it's valuable. And it's probably been our favorite solar product is the pool heat. I will tell you, we did enjoy it when we had the hot water. And that's another thing to look at. So there's a whole myriad of solar products that you can look into. You can absolutely bundle those together, and if you're doing one at a time, you may want to apportion the space and have that conversation that we're going to do the solar for the pool right now. What does that mean for us if we decide to do solar for a house down the road? I think that's an important question to ask. To budget the roof space that you have available for you, so that way you can build the right size system that you want. So to give you a quick recap, solar, it's ever increasing in its availability and adoption for people adding it to new construction. We absolutely see some people that are adding solar to existing homes and retrofitting some systems for their power usage. And I think you'll see more and more as time moves forward because the products continue to get better every year, like most things. I've mentioned earlier that I would look at my time horizon as what that would look like as far as when I might be able to break even on it. The one thing I do want to mention is if you're looking at it as an investment home, I would really study the rental market to understand if the solar has a loan attached to it. Is the owner of the house going to pay for that solar, or are you going to try to pass that off to the tenant? My experience is it's been a hard sell to a tenant to say that, hey, your electric bill might be $250, but it's going to be zero because of solar, but you got to pay the $225 solar bill. To them, it's a zero-sum game. It's the same money, and they're very accustomed, in most cases, to have a power bill with an electric company as opposed to a solar bill with a solar company. I really take a look at that. Is the investment that you're looking to have a return on going to be able to produce the money that you want when you start including like taxes and insurance and the solar? Who pays for that? Because there's also lawn care, pool care, things like that many owners choose to take on. So it's an additional expense and risk for their return on investment numbers. So take a look at that piece as well. There's a lot more that we can talk about as far as the type of solars and the companies and the products. But today was just a really nice start to that conversation, at least in my opinion, to stick our toe in the water with regard to solar, a few of the products, and what it might look like if you adopted into it. Hope you enjoyed our conversation about solar today. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.